The movie opens up with a beautiful scenery of firecrackers. In what looked like an exotic party, a huge man suspiciously stared at some guests. The party then started as a group of dancers began their cinematic presentation. The suspicious man named Joseph is given an instruction which was, no bloodshed, as the opera house they are in is 139 years of age. However, this doesn't stop him as he went around eliminating some of the security guards, probably in search of his main target. Joe eventually got to his target, but before he eliminated him, his target tried bargaining a price with him, with the deal of tripling whatever he was offered to kill him, but Joseph did what he came there for, which was finishing the job, before fleeing the scene. However, on his way, he began to feel dizzy. Meanwhile, the event of the party continued until a shootout began, and everyone ran helter-skelter. Joseph, now halfway out, then saw the female dancer from earlier as she was been seriously stepped on the floor. He immediately went on to help her escape the shootout. Afterward, she asked for his name, which he responded by saying Joe. She also thanked him as well. Now that his frequent dizziness is now becoming a problem, Joseph then took some med immediately after getting home and settled to rest. The next day, he went into a lab to run some tests at the hospital due to his repeated head trauma, which apparently a scan couldn't indicate anything or any form of tumor. However, his doctor, Dr. Keegan, advised he reevaluates his lifestyle. After the doctor's appointment, Joseph went to a meeting afterwards in order to get his pay for a job well done. They chit-chat a bit as he got informed about the cover-up story the organization had made about the incident from last night. Joseph then head out. He went back to see the girl he saved during the shootout, whose name we are meant to know as Maize. About her well-being and her injured foot, she offered to buy him dinner. Weirdly, he accepted and they exchanged contact. On his way, he trashed her contact, but on second thought, he went back to get the contact. Got home and texted her immediately after multiple deletes. They eventually met at dinner. They chatted about work, family, and regular date stuff, plus how she dreams of opening a dance academy for people like her. Joe seems to like this one. He got her flowers, attended her dance shows, went on more dinner dates as they saw more often, and as usual was still doing his dirty job. Now, in a meeting with his boss, he talked to him about Maize. His boss asked if she knows what he does for a living, which he replied no, as he will soon quit soon, so there is no need informing her. Joe also invited his boss and Sharon to his birthday dinner. Maize wants to host for him, and he obliged. At the birthday dinner, they bonded very well and got to know each other. So much laughter. His boss still advised him to tell Maize about everything, like how he did with his current love named Sharon, and if she truly loves him, Maize would understand. They all sang him a birthday song as they enjoyed the rest of the dinner party. After multiple tests at the hospital, Dr. Keegan broke the news of Joe's Creutzfeldt neurodegenerative disorder, which is a rapid motor neuron disintegration which leads to loss of coordination, severe headaches, blindness, and diminished mental capacity. Apparently, there's no cure, and he has barely 3 months to live. Joe went back home devastated. He unlocked his safe and packed all of his guns and threw them away. He went to his boss and told him of his retirement plans after explaining everything to him. He also asked that his life insurance be given to Maize because he wanted his boss to order a hit on him, and he is willing to fund his own hit with $2 million, and of course his boss refused. Joe went to Antoinette, a deadly assassin who uses swords to vanquish her enemy. Joe gave her an offer for her to kill him and get paid. You just want to die before the disease becomes severe. So they both agreed on eliminating him 2,400 hours from now. So Antoinette began to make arrangements for his grand elimination. Meanwhile, that same evening, Joe went to pick up Maize, but one of Antoinette's guys took a picture of Joe and Maize. However, just then Joe told her he would be away for some weeks and wouldn't be coming back. He then broke up things with her. Maize was broken. Joe went back home and drank himself to stupor as he sent her a voice note explaining everything to her. In a very huge plot twist, a message then came from Dr. Keegan. He called him immediately and found out that the test results were false. Joe doesn't have Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease as they switched labels with another patient, and it was all about the wrong barcode on the wrong test tube. Dr. Keegan advised Joe to consider a lawsuit against the lab. He also advised him to go for an eyes scan to figure out the constant eyes pain and headaches he usually get before it's too late. Joe realized his time might already be up as the time ticked closer to his deathbed. This realization dawned on him as there's a prize on his head already for whoever is able to kill him like he wanted, and it's almost time. One of the killer gangs got into Joe's house. He told them the contract has been canceled, but they refused and went ahead to try to kill him. A fight ensued between them, bloody one at that. Joe eliminated the entire gang with ease after this. Joe rushes to call Antoinette immediately to cancel the contract, but she refused, saying that the event has gathered a momentum of its own, and no one would be able to turn down such offer of $2 million. Joe told her to take her part from the $2 million and share the rest to those she employed as compensation, but she refused, obviously because she has a vendetta with him for killing her father. Joe sent Maize a voice note asking her to leave her home and go somewhere else. Another killer gang came to attack Joe. They fought, and of course, Joe went unscathed. In Scotland, another killer team accepted the request to kill Joe for $4 million. Antoinette wasn't even interested with his $2 million, but the pleasure of eliminating Joe. Another killer team also accepted the request to kill Joe. And then another. It's going to be a tough one for Joe. Maize is seen crying until she listened to his voicemail. She then left immediately for safety. Joe went to his boss' place. He helped him clean up his wounds as they discussed the issue at hand and their next line of action. He gave Joe some explosives. In Kelly, Antoinette called another killer, Lovedoll, and offered him a deal to get rid of Joe and his girlfriend, and also asked that her cousin, his driver, is taken care of. He met the driver, who seemed to be very annoying as they drove off. Sharon gave Joe a head massage as they discussed. She snapped his neck while at it, and suddenly Joe heard a sharp sound, and then his headache stopped. He hugged and thanked her. Lovedoll and Antoinette cousin were seen discussing why he wants to be part of the business. They got to Maize's house, and before she escaped, they got to her and took her with them. Antoinette is taking the contract with Joe quite serious as she set up an army to get Joe. At Schatzberger Castle, Joe got ready for war. Another killer duo came to get rid of Joe. They fought until Joe defeated both of them after a brutal fight. Almost immediately, another female killer team with guns started to shoot at Joe, and again he defeated them. Buddhas came in, and this time around it was a hand fight and a long, brutal fight that eventually turned to a sword fight. With Joe wasn't having all of that, had decided to eliminate him with some explosives. Meanwhile, Lovedoll arrived with Maize. He figured it was a trap and asked that Antoinette cousin keep an eye on Maize while he goes to check. Lovedoll made a deal with Joe in exchange for Maize. Just then, an army arrived the building just after Joe left to hide. Back to Maize, she manages to escape from the newbie by outsmarting him. Knives, gun, and explosives came in handy as Joe escaped to go meet Lovedoll to fulfill their deal. As they were talking, Maize ran over Lovedoll with a car and drove off with Joe. Maize got Joe to explain every single thing to her. He told her he was retiring. Maize was relieved to know that. She also told him that she was pregnant for him and then passed out while driving as she got a bullet graze. Joe managed to pack the car as he carried her to a church nearby. She regained consciousness. There and then, he proposed to her and asked the priest to marry them. The priest agreed on the condition that he makes confession of all his sins. The priest was overwhelmed of what he heard. The confession ended, and then they began the marriage rites. One hell of a wedding. Before the wedding was concluded, Lovedoll came in and shot at them. It hit the priest. Another shootout began, explosives here and there as Maize and the priest hides. At the point where Joe and one of the killers came face to face with guns pointing at each other. Joe shot at the killer, but unfortunately, there was no more bullets in the gun. Maize shot the killer before he could pull the trigger at Joe. And again, they escaped. Joe's boss went to Antoinette. Apparently, she has broken all the rules of the game, including hiring mercenaries just like her father did. He killed her. Joe and Maize did a proper wedding, celebrated by the priest. They seemed so happy. Sharon and his boss congratulated and hugged them. The movie titled The Killer's Game then came to an end. Kindly subscribe if you enjoyed blockbuster recaps like this. Thanks for watching and goodbye.